Welcome to our orientation and advising webinar for new students here at the University of Missouri. My name is David Riley, the Senior Coordinator for New Student Programs here at the university. Excited to have you join us. And with me today, I've got a couple colleagues. So before we get started, I'd like to invite them to introduce themselves. With us, we have an academic advisor, Katie.
Hi, I'm Katie Abbott, and I am an advisor in the College of Arts and Science, and I do a lot of the scheduling for our incoming students' academic advising appointments.
And also joining us today is one of our colleagues from the Office of Admissions, Aaron.
Hi there, Aaron Cook from Mizzou Admissions, and our office has been working with you all to this point, and we are excited to bring some other teams into the loop and get you guys to be current Tigers.
All right. So quick overview for today. And so we're here to talk about Summer Welcome, which is our orientation program for new students here at the university. There are two tracks built into to what we broadly call Summer Welcome. And that is the orientation and advising pieces. And so students, you'll complete a couple different steps when it comes to registering for orientation and then also signing up for your academic advising appointment. Both of those things can be done in person or virtually. And we'll talk a little bit more about those here in a couple minutes. But we're going to review the process today of how you go about actually doing that and signing up for those. So we're going to talk about your application status page, which you're probably pretty familiar with at this point. Then we'll talk about how you sign up for orientation and how you sign up for advising. And so with that said, I think, Aaron, you're up.
Awesome, thank you. Yeah, you guys have been pointed towards your application status page the entire process from when you applied to today. And that continues to get signed up for Summer Welcome. So to get the application status page, again, you go to futuretigers.missouri.edu/status. As a reminder, this is where you accept your admission. This is where you pay your enrollment fee. This is where you do your housing and dining contract. And also this is where you're going to sign up for orientation and advising. To get your application status page, please remember you're going to use your personal email address and the password that you created when you applied. So that's going to be different than the Mizzou email address that you probably switched to. We're going back to personal email address and password that you set up that application status page with. When you get there, you're going to see those 4 tabs at the top, and some students don't realize that those are dynamic and you can actually click those tabs. So it's going to default to the tab that says enrollment steps and information. You can see that's in gold at top. And then you're going to see your admissions checklist. That's all done at this point. You're going to see your enrollment checklist. That's where we're going to focus on today. Then you see your forms at the bottom as well. One common thing we hear from students a lot is they've decided on a major or they've decided to switch their major. So I wanted to point out at the bottom of your enrollment steps and information tab on that form section, there is a blue hyperlink that says major change request form. It's optional. You don't have to do it. But if you decide that you want to change your major at this point, that is the link you'll click on, and it will take you to a quick form to change your major. When you click on that link, this is where we're going to switch that email address on you. So now we need you to sign in with your Mizzou email address and your password that you created to go along with that Mizzou email address. So it's going to pop up a screen that looks like this, has the flags on it, has the sign in, and that's where it's going to ask you for your Mizzou email and your password that you've created. You may think, Aaron, I haven't done that email address yet. So let me walk you through that real quick. So again, you can see those tabs at the top are dynamic. I've not clicked over to account and general information. You can see right there that first blurb, MU student email accounts. That will walk you through exactly how to set up your Mizzou email accounts and also set up the 2-step authentication that you're going to need for that email address as well. So again, you can just pop over to the account and general information tab, set up that email address, and go back to the enrollment steps and information tab. When you come back there, if you're not changing your major, you're going to focus on these 2 hyperlinks that I have circled on the screen now for you. That's going to be your student programs orientation reservation form. That's going to be active for you, and then your academic advising appointments preference form as well. So both of those, again, are hyperlinks. You just click on each one of those individually, and it's going to take you to that process. At this point, I'm going to turn over to my colleague, David Riley.
Thank you, Aaron. So as I mentioned, orientation here at the university, orientation and advising is a two-step process. So first is going to be orientation. You'll hear that referred to as summer welcome. That's the kind of our branded name for our program. To sign up for that, you'll follow that link that Aaron showed you just a moment ago. You're going to sign up. You're going to complete your new student reservation form. And then we've got some other resources for you where you're going to prepare for your orientation. And these is our pre-advising and pre-orientation modules on Canvas. Canvas is our learning management system here at the university. So once you're here and you're taking classes, you're going to spend a lot of time in Canvas. Pretty much all your courses will make use of Canvas. And we've created an orientation and advising course in there for you to help you prepare for your experience and your time here at the university. If you've never used Canvas, if you've never seen it, if you're not familiar with it, there's a little guide in there to help you get started with it. But some of the things you'll do in there will be to submit your photo to get your student ID, learn more about immunizations, things to do to get ready for orientation, as well things to do to get ready for your advising appointment. So you're going to sign up for orientation. And then in the same portal where you sign up for orientation, you're going to request your academic advising appointment. You'll complete your advising preference form, and then you'll also do a little bit of prep work. We've got some other information in there that you'll need to complete, and Katie will talk a little bit about that here in a couple minutes. So now what should you expect at orientation? This is for our new students, whether you're a freshman or a transfer, as well as your family members. We encourage family members to come and be a part of the process, learn about the experience so that they can continue to support you through your time here at the university. We have sessions that are both in person and virtual, and those sessions will run from early June through mid-July. The virtual program will be occurred on Zoom just like this, but they are pretty substantially different programs. Our in-person program is going to be a day and a half. We'll start around 8 o'clock in the morning or so. And for freshmen, we'll have activities going for you until 11 o'clock that evening, as well as some options for things on the second day, if you choose to stick around and participate in those. For our transfer students, we realize, hey, you've already got some experience with college. We can probably cut a little bit of that content out, and we'll have you done and out a little bit earlier, probably sometime between 4 and 5 o'clock. For our students who are participating in a virtual program, that's about 3.5 hours. And it's going to be done here, like I said, on Zoom. The virtual program, that exists for folks who just absolutely can't make it to campus sometime in June or July. So it exists, it's out there, but we really do encourage students, if at all possible, please attend the in-person program. You're going to find it just much more valuable. You're going to have the opportunity to interact with people one-on-one, both meeting other students as well as learning about resources as well. If you're doing the virtual program, you'll have a chance to meet some other students, but obviously it's going to be a much more restricted option for you. So as you can see there's a photo there of one of the events called what we call our Mizzou Resource Fair. We've got representatives from a couple of different offices on campus. You have a chance to go through and talk with them, learn about more steps or learn about the next steps in your onboarding process here at the university. So some other things to expect. Like I said, you're gonna have the opportunity to learn more about the services and ways to get connected on campus. You'll attend that resource fair. You'll have a chance to eat in a campus dining hall. There you can see a photo that's from one of the evening activities. We have a little something we call Chant Wars, where students, when you're here, we're going to put you in a small group. You meet 3 times during the day. Those are all folks who are living in the same residence hall as you. So you get to start meeting your neighbors, perhaps even your roommate, if they happen to be at the same session as you. And really just start building that sense of community and getting connected to campus. And that's one of our, like I said, that's one of our evening activities that we call Chant Wars. So other things to expect, like I said, stay overnight in the residence hall, get to know your summer welcome leader. We're going to match you up with a current student who will serve as your guide during your visit on campus. They'll continue to be in contact with you over the summer if you've got other questions. And then those social events and those social activities in the evening, that's a huge piece in the process and getting connected But we'll also cover things like campus safety. We'll talk about preparing for moving to campus, what you should know if you're living in a residence hall, what are things you should bring, what things you should expect, what to expect at move-in. Just a ton of information. We're going to pack a lot into that day that you're here for campus. I talked about the student groups. We also have separate tracks for parents. There'll be times when students and parents are together for sessions. There'll be times when we split you up. Parents will have the opportunity to ask questions of those summer welcome leaders to get their perspective on what it's like to be a student here at the university and how to succeed. So with that said, we'll talk a little bit about the process of signing up. So like I said, you're going to go to that application status page, that link that Aaron showed you earlier. You're going to go through and you're going to preference your date. When you get in there, you may see different dates available because these sessions will close out as they fill up. But if somebody drops out after that session closes, well, that session will become available again. These are available on a first come, first served basis. But you go in, you'll choose your date. You'll see that the format that is associated with your date, whether it's an in-person or a virtual session. Select that date. You'll then have the ability to add guests. You can make any changes to your reservation up to 3 business days prior to your session. We ask you to confirm some additional information. You can express interest in a couple alternative or optional programs here at the university where they'll reach out to you and provide you additional information. And then once you submit your reservation, you'll get an automated confirmation. We've received it. And then we'll also send additional confirmation, more information as you get closer to your session. Starting about a week out, we'll send you more details, parking, what time to check in, how to get to the check-in location once you've parked on campus. But you'll go in, you'll select that date, and that's your date once you submit it. So now we've got, after you submit your orientation date, your preferences there, you'll go through, and we also want you to go through and get into this orientation advising course in Canvas that I mentioned. So we'll give you a little bit of a sneak peek here, and you can see that it is broken up into about 4 or 5 different sections. If you look right there, kind of in that middle menu or so, you'll see a section that says Getting Started for Students. That's that tutorial on how to use Canvas if you've never had any prior experience with it. But looking back here at the course, you have your pre-orientation section. This is all about getting ready for your orientation program. Things to do prior to your visit to campus. And then you'll see a section on pre-advising. Katie's going to talk a little bit about that here in a few minutes. Pre-arrival, what to know before you move to campus, before you move to Mizzou. As well as some section on additional resources and opportunities. You're seeing just the header there. If I were to open those up right now, I can't because it wouldn't all fit on the screen to show you. But there are a couple dozen tabs under those. And this is a resource that's going to be available to you once you sign up for Summer Welcome. It's also going to continue to be available to you throughout your first semester here at the university. And so this is a resource we want you to look at now, and also be able to go back to and check in throughout your time, because orientation, it's a lot. Sometimes we talk about, we compare it to trying to take a sip of water from a fire hose. There's a lot to know, but it's all out here that you can go back and check out as you need to. So, like I said, you've got the different sections. You've got your pre-orientation, you've got your pre-advising. Again, we want you to be sure to check that out before you come to Summer Welcome, and then come back and visit throughout the summer and fall as you're getting used to being a Tiger here at the university. So I've talked a little bit about the process of signing up for orientation. I'm now going to turn it back over to my colleague, Katie, to talk a little bit about the advising process.
All right, thanks, Dave. So like we have you do for orientation, we also have some things that we need you to do or that we ask you to complete in order to set up your advising appointment. Now, each college is going to do things a little bit differently, but for the most part, we're going to have the exact same things that we're going to ask for you to do so that not only are you prepared for your advising appointment, but your advisor is prepared. So the first thing is to complete that academic advising preference form, which is in your application status page. And that's what's kind of going to indicate that you're ready to have your advising appointment scheduled. There are 2 additional things that we want you to complete before your advising appointment, just so that you're a little bit more prepared and that your advisor is prepared. So one of those pieces is the pre-advising questionnaire, which is in Canvas, which we'll show you in a second. But the other piece is also some pre-advising materials for you to review so that you might know what types of questions to ask of your advisor during that appointment, but also so that we can really understand what it is that you have interest in. So looking at that application status page that Erin showed you, it's in that application status page for the advising preference form. It's in your enrollment checklist. So it's one of the things we really need you to do so that we know that you're ready for advising. So when you click on that link, it'll open up this advising preference form, and it's gonna ask just a couple questions, but they're really important questions for us to know when you're available. So as I said, I schedule some of the appointments for the College of Arts and Science, which is kind of a lot of students, but this is what's going to indicate to that person scheduling the appointment when you're available to match you up with the appointment time that an advisor is available. Because a lot of times you're going to get to meet with the advisor that you potentially will have from that very first advising appointment to your very last advising appointment. So we really want you to give us as much information as possible on this form that will help us schedule that appointment. Now, one thing to know is that we cannot meet with you when you are here on campus for orientation. So we might be able to schedule you the day before, or maybe the day after if you're coming and want an in-person meeting, but it cannot happen on the day of your orientation. So if you can only come to campus once, we really, really encourage you to either maybe select Zoom as an option or understand that you might need to be here a day before or a day after if you want to meet in person. So on that preference form, please give us as much availability as possible if you're available in the mornings or in the afternoons. And then if you want to meet in person or on Zoom, or if it doesn't matter to you. Honestly, we've been doing advising appointments with our current students on Zoom for now quite a while, and also with our incoming students. And I promise you, you're going to get the same great information whether you're here in person or on Zoom. So again, if you can only come to campus once, we really encourage you to do that for orientation, because if you meet with an advisor on Zoom, you might be able to have that appointment before you come to orientation in June. If you're a high school student, we do ask that you put in your graduation date, just because we won't probably try to schedule your appointment until you've graduated from high school, just because we know that tends to open up your availability a little bit more. Because our advising appointments are Monday through Friday, 8 to 5, during typical business hours. Now, the last thing we're going to ask on that preference form is for you to list any days that you know you're not available. So if you always work on Mondays, or if you're going on a vacation, we want you to make sure you list that so we don't try to schedule an appointment with you during that time. So the more information you can provide, the better, just so that we might not have to reach out to you to reschedule things if necessary. And you can always come back to this preference form in your application status page if something comes up, and you can update it so we have the most recent information to know when you're available for advising. So once your advising appointment has been scheduled, this is where in Canvas we want you to take a look at some of those things to help us prepare for your appointment, but also you to prepare for that appointment. And one of those things is the pre-advising questionnaire. When you open that up, it's going to give you a lot of different questions to answer so that your advisor really gets to know you better. Because while we want you to be prepared for your advising appointment, we also want to be prepared. And this is in a program called MU Connect, which is another platform that we use with that list of questions, with your name, your topics of interest. So maybe other majors you're considering, minors, that sort of information. So this is where a lot of that information is housed, because your advisor will get to see this information. Your application, that goes to admissions. That doesn't come to us in advising. So this is how your advisor is going to prepare for that appointment. And one of the very most important questions, while I know it might seem redundant, is the very bottom. We ask you for any possible dual credit or transfer credit that you might be bringing in from high school. So while you are asked this in the admissions process, we ask again just because something may have changed from the time you applied to Mizzou. Maybe you took another class somewhere else and you need to transfer it here. And the reason that is so important is because as your advisor, we're going to be doing prep work before we meet with you. So the more information we have on interests, classes you've had before, tells us maybe what classes you might be ready for in your upcoming semester. So again, please provide that information, because if things have changed, we want to know that. And that questionnaire is kind of the last step or last thing we're going to ask you to complete before that advising appointment. So another thing we want you to do as you're getting closer, maybe a couple days before your advising appointment on Canvas, we're going to have some prep work on there too. But how you're going to find out about your advising appointment is in your Mizzou email address. And I cannot stress enough that once you're fully a Mizzou student, the main way we're going to contact you is through that Mizzou email address. So get in the habit of checking it frequently, often, because this is where important information is going to be sent. Okay, so once your advising appointment is scheduled, you're going to be notified of the date, the time, the location. So if it's virtual or in person, that's all going to be sent to your Mizzou email. It's kind of like an Outlook calendar invitation. So you'll need to accept that invitation so that it gets put on your calendar, and we know that we plan to expect to see you that day. And you'll get confirmation emails and reminder emails, again, to your Mizzou email address ahead of that appointment. Okay. Once that appointment's been confirmed, you can go to the pre-advising module on Canvas and really kind of create a list of questions of things that maybe you wouldn't have thought you had questions about before, but to really prepare yourself for that advising appointment, and maybe the things that your advisor might ask of you. So during that advising appointment, you're going to get to know your advisor and get to learn more about your program, your degree requirements. You're going to discuss any of those transfer credits that you're potentially bringing in, ask questions about that, talk about classes to take in a future semester. You can talk through other options. So maybe you're interested in study abroad or internships, or maybe you want to do undergraduate research. Those are all options for you to kind of bring up with that advisor so that you can start building that relationship and really talking about what it is that interests you. Okay. And lastly, and usually most importantly, you're going to select classes with your advisor, and then you're going to register. And that's usually the most exciting part about that advising appointment. But again, it is really that chance for that kind of interaction with your advisor, because if you don't change your major, you may have the same advisor the entire time you're here. So really starting that relationship early is really helpful because we're always going to want to support you in the ways that are going to help you as well. Okay. So just a couple of common questions we do get asked a lot, just because it does come up, especially as you're kind of exploring maybe new majors, new thoughts, new ideas of what you think you might want to do. I know Erin at the very beginning mentioned where you can change your major in the application status page. It is really best if you are considering changing your major to do that before your advising appointment is scheduled. Just because we want you to meet with the most appropriate advisor. As I said, I'm in the College of Arts and Science. I know a lot of things about the majors that I advise for, but I don't know a lot about the College of Health Sciences. So we want you to meet with the advisor that is most equipped to answer your questions and really serve you in that new major. So changing your major or notifying us that you're thinking of changing your major as soon as possible is always best. Another thing, if you are in the honors college or you're a student athlete, you do need to meet with your major academic advisor, but then you will also meet with someone in the honors college and someone in athletics, and your advisor will be able to make that connection with you and tell you how to make that next step. All right, so I'm going to turn it back over to Dave.
Thank you, Katie. So folks, just to review briefly, you've been in, hopefully you've been into that your new student portal to with the folks over at admissions, that Future Tigers site. That's how you're going to get to those links to sign up for summer welcome, how to sign up for your academic advising. You have the option to choose whether to attend orientation in person or virtually. My advice, do in person if at all possible. And you have the also have the option to do your academic advising appointment in person or virtually. We've learned over the last several years, virtual academic advising appointments work great. So if you can only make one trip to campus, because there's no guarantee that they're going to be able to schedule your advising appointment the day before or day after your summer welcome orientation session, those virtual advising appointments work great. And again, your advising appointment cannot be the same day as your summer welcome orientation session. And then perhaps our most important tip that we can offer you for now and throughout your career here at the University of Missouri, start checking your Mizzou email account. That you're going to get a notification when it's time to start signing up for orientation, when it's time to start signing up for academic advising appointments, sent to that account. For our family members out there, you're going to get some of those emails too right now. You're going to get those for the next couple months. And then as summer welcome passes by and we get closer to that start day of classes, parents, you'll stop getting those emails. And so students, that's why you need to get in the habit of checking those right now. So thank you for joining us today. If you have any questions about summer welcome, about how to complete this process, if you're running into any roadblocks, please feel free to reach out to us at the New Student Programs Office. You can email us at summerwelcome@missouri.edu, or you can give us a call at 573-884-9868. And we are all looking forward to seeing you here at Mizzou on campus very soon. MIZZOU. And recording should be stopped.
Still says it's recording.
What's that?
It still says it's recording.
Where's the stop recording button?
I just see record.
There it is.